Hello, I'm Julian Roll, Chief Executive of Market Echoes. I've just written a blog entitled Reducing Costs Increases Revenue, and I'd like to share with you 6 pointers from that blog about how you can increase the revenue from your customers without exploiting them. I wrote the blog because I'd read an interesting article by Matt Rudd in the Sunday Times. His wife had been a customer of Lloyds Bank for 20 years. She'd never gone overdrawn. Then one day she did, for about 7 hours. The result? Lloyds put some charges on her. The next result, she defected to First Direct, a bank with a very good customer service reputation. But even the defection took the Rudds 6 or 7 hours to actually complete. What should Lloyds have done? A simple email or letter to Mrs. Rudd saying, "You've gone overdrawn, please don't do it in the future, and of course no charge at this time." What would have been the result? Mrs. Rudd would doubtless have stayed at Lloyds. But banks don't tend to think about things in this sort of logical way. In fact, banks have a habit of incentivizing departments for annoying customers. Their bank charges departments tend to be big revenue earners, and yet their customer retainment departments are frequently consigned to some far corner of their empire. Yet, as we teach in business school, it costs something like 8 times as much to recruit a new customer as retain an old one. I learnt a lot about this at tour operator Eurocamp, where I spent 16 years of my working life. At Eurocamp, 90% of our customers were repeats or recommendations. Why were they repeats? Because we looked after them. Why were they recommendations? Because we looked after them. So, what should banks do? But in fact, what should you do? Number one, think about how much time is spent on administering customer complaints. And then, do you really understand why you get those complaints in the first place? Number two, delve down. Have you got some silos in your business that are actually incentivized for delivering poor customer service? Of course you'll say no. And I'll say back to you, go and have a look at how your credit control department works and see whether it really delivers service that your customers expect. Number three, banks tend to be very strongly influenced by technologists, but actually technologists rarely understand anything about customers. Think about it from your own business perspective. Number four, what is your retainment strategy? Do you have one? Have you evaluated it recently? Does it really focus on why customers would want to come back? Number five, remember that real sustainability comes from recommendations, comes from really good customer service. And last but by no means least, number six, think about the customer experience from your own perspective. Do you treat your customers the way you'd like to be treated? Some of these points sound fairly obvious, and indeed they might be, but that doesn't mean we always spot them. At Market Echoes, we can help you identify the obvious and how the obvious can contribute to real success in front of your customers. We'd love to hear from you.